Starfield is off to a phenomenal start. Not only is it being well received by critics and most fans alike, other than those that are trying to review bomb the game, which I have talked about, but it also is one of the most polished Bethesda games released to date, and that goes a long way, especially with some of the information we have officially from Bethesda Game Studios that just came out. How is it going, everybody? My name is DeMarco, and today we're going to be diving into some of the future updates that we can expect coming to Starfield. Well, it's not a direct roadmap. We do have some ideas as to where Bethesda is going to want to take Starfield, some of the things they are going to want to implement, and of course, it's not just that. It's not limited to just what we're stating. Some of the DLC that Bethesda released might even be shaped by some of the feedback. But let's get into an official tweet from Bethesda, and then we'll discuss some of the new additions we can expect. First, an enormous thank you to all of you playing Starfield and your support. We are absolutely blown away by the response and all you love about the game. We're also reading all your great feedback on what you'd like to see improved or added to the game. This is a game we'll be supporting for years and years to come, so please keep all the feedback coming. If we don't get to your requests immediately, we'd love to do it in the future, like city maps. Our priority initially is making sure any top blocker bugs or stability issues are addressed and adding quality of life features that many are asking for. Years and years to come can be a bit vague, but we generally know what to expect most of the time from Bethesda games, which is usually several big expansions, one large Elseworld type expansion, right? Shivering Isles, Far Harbor, those types of things. And then of course, smaller bits that are interjected in between. In Fallout 4, we got things like the Automaton update. We had an update such as the Vault Dwellers, where you could build an underground vault. Hopefully with Starfield, we'll see a little bit more of that stuff too. I would love if Bethesda came in and they added, hey, here's a couple free new weapons that we've implemented into the game. Here's a new spacesuit that you can find. Here's a single new, smaller quest that you play, similar to what CD Projekt Red has done with The Witcher. Of course, stability issues and the top blocker bugs, as they phrased it, should absolutely be the priority, but I do need to take a moment to emphasize how important it is that Bethesda released this game in an already polished state, which means unlike Cyberpunk, which took years in order to correct the many issues that it released with, and only finally they're getting one single DLC for that game, which could have had so much more potential, Starfield has the opportunity to go full in on DLC, full in on expansions, full in on updates, bringing us new content to enjoy, to play with, because they don't have to focus as much time on just polishing the game. So thank you, Bethesda, for that. Some will argue I shouldn't have to thank Bethesda for releasing a polished product, but I just want them to do it in the future with Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 and every other subsequent title they released. I hope they take the time that they need. Continuing on, the first update is a small hotfix target at a few top issues we are seeing. After that, expect a regular interval of updates that have top community requested features, including brightness and contrast controls, HDR calibration menu, FOV slider, NVIDIA DLSS support, 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, eat button for food. We are also working closely with NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel on driver support, and each update will include new stability and performance improvements. It's worth mentioning that already, if you are playing on PC, you can get new drivers that are available, which some have said improve performance quite a bit for Starfield. So if you haven't already, check those out. I haven't had time to test them myself, but it's ongoing support for Starfield to make that experience better. Maps, city maps, city maps! I don't know why something like city maps weren't necessarily included. It's cool to navigate. I will say one element I do like is that you do have the street signs that I thought did okay at helping you navigate around, and it forced you in a way to really learn the layout of the city. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn that without having a city map. Really think that they were over-relying a bit on the HUD compass tracking that you have through your visor to get to your quest objective. It's the clairvoyant spell from Skyrim, or Vans it was called in Fallout 4. Here it's just your visor. I suspect that Bethesda had a bit of a vision when they went about this. It's sort of more like Morrowind. People were constantly saying how, well, I liked having to figure out my way by using the environment, and maybe it was a creative decision to not include the local city maps while you're there, but for most of us, I think it's just a convenience type of thing, and it would simply make sense that with all this advanced technology, you'd be able to access a map of the region. So even if you want to go by lore or headcanon reasons, you probably should have one. Continuing on, the first update is a small hotfix target at a few top issues we are seeing. After that, expect a regular interval of updates that have top community requested features, including brightness and contrast controls, HDR calibration menu, FOV slider, NVIDIA DLSS support, 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, eat button for food. We are also working closely with NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel on driver support, and each update will include new stability and performance improvements. It's worth mentioning that already, if you are playing on PC, you can get new drivers that are available, which some have said improve performance quite a bit for Starfield. So if you haven't already, check those out. I haven't had time to test them myself, but it's ongoing support for Starfield to make that experience better. Certain elements on this raise a bit of an eyebrow why they weren't included right from the get-go. Something like brightness and contrast controls seems like a standard, and something like FOV you sort of just want to see in the game these days. It's something that's always requested, fans always would like to have access to and control over, and so I'm very curious as to why titles still release without that option, unless it's this really technical, hard to do thing, but I suspect it's not. The most important for me is the native DLSS support coming to PC. I wish it would have been there at launch and we weren't just stuck with FSR2. I wonder if that's part of some behind the scenes exclusivity due to the AMD partnership that they said, no, you can't have DLSS for a certain time frame, but then you could put it in. So it is what it is. Thankfully, you won't have to deal with downloading mods and changing settings and tweaking it that way. And I've even heard reports of people trying to paywall the DLSS mod, then you have to update it manually yourself. So native support is just so much better, but it's great that it's getting added in now. Naturally, these aren't features that I'm going to be bowing at Bethesda and the developers' feet, praising and thanking them for this type of stuff being implemented, but it's just great to see. And again, I can't emphasize enough, these are some of the benefits that Bethesda might not have necessarily been able to get to if they were too busy fixing just native problems and bugs with the game had it launched in a much worse state. As for some specific improvements that were done with this recent hotfix, Bethesda has addressed that they improved stability related to installations for Xbox Series X and S. There's stability and performance improvements to reduce crashes and improve frame rate for all systems, which is great to have. And then for some quests, all that money can buy, Into the Unknown, and Shadows and Neon have all been addressed to prevent quest blocking items. And this is just a hotfix. This is the first of many that will be coming if you've ran into any other issues. There's also a small little update on mod support. We do know that it's coming later this year, but Bethesda added on to it just a bit, saying additionally, we're working on our built-in mod support, creations. Yes, the Creation Club is coming back, but you will also have the free mod support, so don't freak out. That will work across all platforms, similar to what we've done with Skyrim and Fallout 4. This full support is planned to launch early next year. Until then, we know our PC community is already very active in the modding space, and if you have any feedback on how we can make this better, please let us know. Modding and creating in our games will always be a vital and important part of who we are, and we love seeing the community get off to such a strong start. Keep the feedback coming. We really do read it all, and thank you all again for taking this journey with us, Bethesda Game Studios. Out of any studio, I'm inclined to believe when Bethesda says they read all of the updates and all the feedback that they're getting, I'm inclined to believe that Bethesda is a lot more on top of that than some other companies. That's not to say that other companies don't ever read what people are saying about their game, but I believe it when Bethesda says it. Mod support on PC has been absolutely stellar. I've already added a couple simple mods to my game. One that moves the XP and the discovery of locations down to the bottom of the screen. I saw so many people complaining about that right from the get-go when we saw it. I also installed another mod that changes your health bar to different colors based on how hurt you are, which just makes it a little bit easier to read and scan on the fly. Some quality of life things that I'm not holding against Bethesda for not having, but these are the types of mods I love seeing early on. I wouldn't be surprised if Starfield becomes the most modded Bethesda game to date, even surpassing Skyrim, which currently holds that title. And just thinking about the mods that we got for Skyrim and how incredible so many of them were makes me so excited for what Starfield is going to be able to accomplish. Bethesda, if you're listening, I have three requests that I want to see in Starfield. Please. Number one, this is probably the biggest ask. I want to see a survival mode. Survival mode built natively into the game. I don't want to do it through Creation Club. I don't want to do it through a mod. I want to see native survival mode added to Starfield. You did it in the past for free with Fallout 4. Want to see it done here again? Please. Thank you. Number 2, when you go to pick up an item, if you want to move it around in the environment, you have to hold down this button for way too long. I am a grumpy gamer. I want to be able to do things instantly. I have attention problems. Make this shorter. I want to hold it down for like a quarter of a second, then boop, I'm able to wiggle it around and throw it across the room. Thank you for that as well. And number 3, and I hope I'm not the only person that feels this way, but storage in settlements is currently a bit of a nightmare. For those of you who have not engaged with the outpost system, almost every single storage bin that you can place down has a carrying capacity. Now, that's great for realism because it doesn't make sense that you'd be able to store absolutely every single thing in one tiny little container, so you got to build more storage. But maybe, just maybe, provide players the option to have an unlimited storage amount like the way that you could in Fallout 4. I would love to see that simply because I'm a lazy gamer. While I like the realistic approach, I also like when my games feel a bit more gamey. Sometimes I just want to put all of my crap in one bin and then go off on my way, and currently with Starfield, especially if you're engaging with the outposts, that's hard to do. So would love to see that maybe as something toggleable. If you want to have that default experience that you guys crafted, that's fine. Not saying get rid of it entirely, but just let us tweak it. Let us craft the experience we want to play. That's part of the beauty of mods, but you can help enable that a little bit. Also in settlements, it's still a bit wonky where I've put up platforms for my ship to land, and yet I get trees that grow through it. So I think there's still some tweaking that needs to be done on that front, but I'm hoping you guys are already aware of that one. So anyway, what do you want to see tweaked in Starfield? Let me know some of the smaller things or the bigger things, whatever you want to see. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.